Thanks for coming back to listen to Stay on Topic. Before we next episode, have a little housekeeping to do, and we run a pretty tight ship with the facts. James, what did we screw up last episode?
Okay, so last week we said at one point that there were 265 Republicans voting for the bill to allow selling of internet data to the highest bidder. There's actually only 237 Republicans currently in the House. The actual vote on that bill was 215 to 205, and there were actually 15 dissenting Republican votes on that. Another thing that came up was we said that the House majority was just 22 votes. It is actually 44 currently. It is 22 votes. There are 22 votes above the currently required 215 in order to pass a bill because the House is currently down several members who have been appointed to other positions.
So that was a misspeak.
Yes.
Okay, that was housekeeping, and now we're going to go on with our fifth episode. This is episode 4.5 of Stay on Topic. We cannot talk about the lost episode, but it kind of counts because we spent time on it. So anyway, this week we are here with Bob Recotta, who has mastered news, education, marketing, PR, the man without fear, Bob Recotta.
I wouldn't say I've mastered any of those things. The only thing I've mastered is baiting, because I really like to fish.
And we have James Post, who is the assistant managing editor at The Leader in Corning, New York, and the president of the Upstate New York Dead Like Me fan club. How you doing, James?
I'm doing good. I believe I'm actually only the secretary of the Upstate New York.
Well, no, you're thinking of New York State. You're the secretary of the New York State Dead Like Me fan club, but for Upstate New York, you are the president.
This is entertaining to no one.
No one knows what
that is actually our tagline. We've market tested it, and it's a winner.
I saw 10 likes on YouTube, so we're doing something right.
10 likes on
10
YouTube?
likes on YouTube. Or was that news? So anyway, this week I'll not fail to introduce myself. I'm Chris Gill, did sports journalism for a while, and I figured manufacturing's better, so now I do that. And I'm still trying to get through Horizon Zero Dawn. So first topic this week that we're really going to try to stay on is President Donald Trump's response to...
Can I interrupt for just a second?
No, I wasn't going anywhere.
Okay.
Please jump right in.
Am I the only one who still has a hard time saying President Trump?
Oh, every time.
Every time I say president, it feels like Obama should come next, but he's President Trump now. And I've got to accept that.
I hear journalists all the time on radio, on television, start to say Obama and have to correct themselves. It just, after 8 years, it just becomes habit.
Well, to me, Donald Trump was this silly fellow in the 80s who everyone made a big deal about, and I never really understood why. Like, he put a big building in New York, that was about it. And to me, that's the Donald Trump that I know, so that's why it's difficult for me to put President of the United States of America anywhere near his name. I still remember him as that guy.
The guy from Home Alone 2.
Yes.
I never watched The Apprentice.
The most successful role he's played so far.
Anyway, sorry to take us off topic.
Yeah, so we're going to have to edit that one around or something, I guess. The first topic that we're going to try and stay on because we did so well in the first attempt is President Donald Trump's response to the chemical attack in Syria. This was a little strange, the way it played out, how it played out, and why it played out.
Okay, we may disagree on that already, but we'll get into it. So I'd actually planned this week, as we get together, we plan what our topics are going to be, and as of Wednesday, I was thinking I was going to be continuing the Trump-Russia storyline, and in a way this does, but in an unexpected way. Obviously, the launch of 59 cruise missiles late Thursday pretty effectively changed the conversation about Russia and President Trump. And for some background, Russia has been allied with the official government of Syria, with Bashar al-Assad, since 2011. They started actually throwing military support behind him in 2013 after kind of a interesting snafu with Syria and chemical weapons again, and the Obama administration, where President Obama at the time had gone to Congress seeking authorization to strike in retaliation for that chemical weapons attack, and that sort of got swept under the rug after Russia either outfaced or helped Obama by brokering an agreement that was supposed to have Syria get rid of their chemical weapons under observation of Russia and the United Nations. Before this missile strike took place, there was a quote from Secretary of State Rex Tillerson commenting on Russia's promise to prevent the use of chemical weapons in Syria, saying that, quote, either Russia has been complicit or Russia has been simply incompetent in its ability to deliver on its end of the agreement. So that's the background. Obviously, post-chemical weapons strike, but pre-cruise missile strike on Syria. The strike itself was, from my perspective, really not anything any different that I would have expected from any other president.
So you would call it a proportional response?
I would, and in fact, had this conversation on Twitter with Politico's Albany reporter Jimmy Vielkind, who was referencing that very the same reference from the West Wing.
So we got a name drop and a West Wing reference.
Yes.
Nice.
In response to his tweet, I tweeted, "There's nothing virtuous about a proportional response, sir. It's just all there is," which is the line from the late great John Amos.
Spencer.
No, I think it was.
No.
I think it was.
Yeah,
Wallace.
it was Fitzwallace.
I thought it was McGarry.
No.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm not going to question you.
Yeah,
I'm not going there.
I think it's 2-on-1.
Yeah.
Which sounds sexy, but
not in this room. Not with these people.
There's only so much I can get into the weeds of foreign policy. That's not really my area of expertise. I think not really any of our areas of expertise. I'm just looking at the politics of this. And so,
would it be oversimplifying it to say that Syria is a mess? Like, there's so many factions and proxy wars going on in Syria that there are no good guys.
Oh yeah, there are multiple proxy wars between multiple parties and people allied in an almost diagonal way against each other, and in a way that's almost impossible. Vox, I think, tried to sort of chart this out this week with a video, and I think they actually failed, which, I usually like their explainers, but it's just too complicated at this point.
And is that why President Obama stayed out of Syria for the most part? It's just because there's no win. The rebels who look like the good guys are actually allied with Al Qaeda in Syria.
Some of them are not.
So can we just how do you navigate this mess?
Again, that's why I'm not an expert in foreign policy. I really don't know. I know it's very complicated. I'm sure that's part of the reason that Obama basically wanted to throw this into the lap of Congress in 2013. He was also in in one of his worst sort of political positions at that time, as far as resistance from Congress and feeling that nothing would be treated as legitimate unless he got an authorization for the use of military force through Congress.
Well, what struck me really odd about this whole affair was this happened 2 days after Steve Bannon was removed from the National Security Council.
Yes.
And Trump's son-in-law, his first name escapes me, Kushner, was installed.
Jared Kushner.
I just found that to be really strange time. And in the same week that Ivanka got her own office in the White House, I mean, it just really struck me as odd.
I hate to be cynical. I would as much as I dislike President Trump, I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and use of chemical weapons on the Syrian people, and that's why he did this. But can you be that Pollyanna in this day and age?
Right.
I mean,
to me, it felt like he got baited and nudged into this.
And I think, if you want to be cynical about it, he did this because things were getting a little too warm around the whole Russia story. This provides some space between him and Russia because Russia's allied with the Syrian government. So this shows that he's his own man, and it takes people's attention away for a few days.
Okay, well that jumps right ahead to one of my my closing questions on this topic was, should we be listening to people who are saying things like that, such as Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC on Friday?
Speaking of West Wing.
Yes.
Which we pretty much always are.
Who suggested that Putin put Assad up to the chemical weapons attack to give Trump an excuse to launch a counterattack and look presidential, which struck me as, if nothing else, even if that's 100% true, and none of us have any way of knowing whether that is true or not, even if that's 100% true, it really makes you look like a left-wing conspiracy theorist.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a level of collusion too much for me. I believe that Assad acted on his own, and then Trump may have had a conversation with Putin and decided on this airstrike. But I don't think the chemical attack was part of this mix. I think that was its own thing. I hope. I really hope the world isn't that screwed up.
The world's pretty screwed up.
I got some news for you.
You want to be the pin in the balloon.
And it's funny that Hillary Clinton actually is on the same side as Donald Trump on this issue.
Yeah, a lot of Democrats are,
and then
a lot of media are,
and a lot of Republicans, not a lot, but like Rand Paul, is.
Yeah.
This is creating some interesting fissures.
Yeah.
And strange bedfellows, as politics is wont to do. I don't hate this move. It was a way of flexing our muscles without anybody getting really hurt.
Well, I mean, people did get hurt.
Well,
people got killed.
Okay.
People got killed, but the runway are okay.
Well, and
so that's the other thing that struck me out about it. What did they actually bomb? They're using the airport 2 days later.
If you
Cinnabon.
The Cinnabon airport terminal.
If you listen to the military analysis, they were trying to hit hardened hangars, which meant that you had to hit them once with 1,000-pound Tomahawk cruise missile to make a hole, and another missile go through that hole to actually hit the aircraft. They were hitting fuel. They were hitting those kinds of things.
Did they hit them?
That's not entirely clear. I mean, obviously, we're entirely dependent on the administration for any interpretation of a battle damage assessment from that strike.
Our two sources are the administration, which no one trusts, or the Syrian government, which no one trusts.
Yeah, who say that there was no damage at all.
Yeah, it's cool. Starbucks got a little.
There didn't have to be no damage at all for them to continue to operate. And one thing that Trump said on Twitter just in the last 24 hours or so was the fact that there was no intent to hit the runway because it's not worth the munitions because it's too easy to fix. I think there is some truth to that a runway is asphalt. It's something that can be filled in. That it wouldn't surprise me if that really was the case, that there was no targeting of the runway itself. Obviously, if you're going to hit something, you're going to want to hit the expensive, jet aircraft.
Yeah, it struck me funny that Trump had this very undefined isolationist campaign, and when he brought Steve Bannon on to his cabinet or as an advisor, you're like, okay, he's going to go isolationist. So Bannon gets kicked out for the globalist Kushner, and all of a sudden now we're back to bombing things.
Yeah, and the line from the administration about Bannon leaving the National Security Council was that was never intended to be a permanent posting.
No.
That was just to fill the gap while they got other positions filled. But another thing I want to talk about as far as the political face of this that struck me as a little bit strange is the fact that rather than going on live television and addressing the American people about the strike and the reasons for it, Trump gave a 3-4 minute, basically, press conference behind closed doors with just the media from Mar-a-Lago, and then later released the video of that to be aired on the networks on CNN and wherever else. That struck me as odd and a little off-putting.
So he embargoed himself? Is that the media was in the room?
And it really didn't seem to be embargoed, because as soon as people came out, they were starting to quote comments that he'd made. They had to wait to physically get the video to air it.
So, but the story broke as soon as the press conference was over.
Yeah, and the story as far as the attack obviously was already out there, but as far as what he had to say about it, we had to wait for a tape, which you have to wonder what the thought process is behind that. Whether they were that worried about whether he could pull off a live address, but in that case, why put him in a room full of reporters? And
Right.
if he screws up, it's still in a room full of reporters.
Yeah, why not just do something from the Oval Office?
Well, he wasn't in the Oval Office.
Okay,
he hasn't.
well,
He hasn't been there a lot.
That's just bad planning on his part.
He was on his 15th trip to his own golf club.
Is that a real number?
That is a real number.
Is anyone else just dumbfounded by the hypocrisy?
You're weeks behind on that story.
It's just a constant roiling thing inside me. I'm a avowed liberal. I'll cop to that 100%. But I like to be consistent. And if the other guy does something I don't like, I'll call him on it. But when my guy does something that's the same, I'd like to think I would call him or her on it as well. And so I just, where's the consistency from conservatives?
Oh, as far as criticizing,
Yeah.
I mean, crucifying Obama for playing 18, once, every month and a half. And this guy, the current president, is in Mar-a-Lago every weekend.
More than that. I mean, there haven't been 15 weekends since he took office.
His wife stays at Trump Tower, primarily. So
I'll let that go, because doing it for the health of the kid, the well-being of the kid, not even finish the school year, I will let that slide. But the golf trips, it's just...
If he was getting some kind of political gain out of it, like when Obama and Boehner would go play around, I don't mind that, because business gets done on golf courses.
Sure.
If not on the course, then at the 19th hole. And if he was doing it to entertain dignitaries or to meet with the Democratic leaders, but cool. That's a great way to get to know somebody and maybe work on some stuff. Nope, just wants to play golf.
So we talked a little bit about...
We totally got off topic.
We did. We talked a little bit about the theory that this was, in one way or another, a way to distract attention from the ties between Trump and Russia and the investigation into that. And interestingly enough, this strike on Syria distracted attention from a story earlier the same day with House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes deciding to temporarily, that's his own phrasing, step away from any investigation into the Trump campaign's ties to Russia. That investigation will be taken over by, and now I'm flipping pages in my notes, I apologize. Will be taken over by Mike Conaway of Texas with the assistance of Trey Gowdy of South Carolina. So that'll be an interesting one.
I'm I just want it to go somewhere at this point.
Yeah,
I don't know if it ever will with the Republicans leading the investigation.
but Nunes saying he's stepping aside because of complaints filed with the House Ethics Committee about him for supposedly mishandling classified information, in that he went to the White House and received classified information about monitoring of Trump staffers and immediately announced it.
Well, he works for the president. That's why he's there. Everybody knows that. Got to give the guy a heads up. Not fair to just blindside him.
Yeah.
And for this, he's only temporarily stepping down or stepping aside.
Yeah, and I don't know what temporarily means. I'm not sure anyone knows at this point what temporarily means. I'm assuming it would have to mean for the duration of an investigation into this particular matter, but maybe not. You know, who knows how things work.
And what do we know about the two people leading the investigation now? Do we have any more faith in them than we would in Nunes?
Not much.
Conaway is a guy I'm not familiar that much with.
I mean, I know Gowdy. He's
Gowdy is Trey Gowdy.
yeah.
He's a, I'd call him a Tea Partier. He's of that political strain.
Is he a Heritage Foundation Republican, or is he like a true believer conservative, or is he like a Trump Republican?
None of the above. He's I would put him in the same category as somebody like a Jason Chaffetz that we talked about last week. I'm not really comfortable categorizing people politically that way.
All right, well, let's put a pin in that and let his actions.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see how this plays out, because neither of those people have really been in the position of leading an investigation like this before. So
a question for you, James.
Okay.
Has Susan Rice been exonerated of whatever Donald Trump was accusing her of on Twitter? Yeah, you learn to love the silence, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure how much you need to be exonerated for something for which very little evidence was ever presented, as is often the case with this president.
It was a distraction. I mean, it was kind of a head fake for a day or two.
It was.
Give Fox News something to yell about.
But no, I'm not sure. And this may be my own sort of predilection towards the establishment talking. I'm not sure that anyone serious questions, even on the right, questions the integrity of Susan Rice.
Well, the whole Benghazi, she's still carrying that around her neck.
She is, but that was, if anything, she was accused of incompetence, not so much dishonesty.
That's it.
But we got to one of my questions about the left-wing conspiracy theories. The other question that arises out of this for me is, does anyone continue to care about the Trump-Russia investigation while hanging in the air is the possible threat of more direct military involvement in Syria by the U.S. and
Bless you.
and we don't have a sneeze button, and whether that invites direct conflict with Russia?
You really should give this question to us, Adam. That time, so we don't have to think on the air. No, to the second question, I don't think. My cynicism is kicking in, and I gotta believe that Trump and Putin are talking behind closed doors or in the shadows, and so what we're going to see in public is just posturing. I think we go back to an isolationist policy. I mean, this was a departure from everything he ever said about Syria.
And right now, everyone's trying to figure out if this indicates a change in policy or not. If there's a long-term plan. There have been comments out of the administration from people like Tillerson saying that going back to almost the Obama line, that Assad needs to go. that's, Assad's backer is Russia.
Right.
Yeah, I just have been really stunned at the lack of outrage by the citizens that an election was influenced, or at least tried to be influenced, by a foreign power. Why isn't this the biggest thing in the U.S.? Like, why aren't people upset about this? And I don't care who the candidate was. If it was the other way around, this should be the biggest thing on our minds right now.
The waters are so muddy that no one in the general public knows what to think. So they're just not thinking about it.
I mean,
It's the job of Congress and the FBI to figure out what really happened. And if they can say definitively what really happened, then I think people take interest again.
And I don't know about the rest of the American public, but at least for myself, you can only sustain outrage for so long, and then you just get tired. So,
there was never any outrage. That's the thing.
There was outrage.
There was not outrage of people lined up outside Congress demanding answers.
No, because
And that's the kind of outrage there should have been for something so serious.
people are outraged over Planned Parenthood getting cut. People are outraged over Meals on Wheels getting cut. There's just a low-grade outrage. And, whatever the topic of du jour is, that's what we're going to be outraged about.
It's almost like there's an attitude of people be like, oh, wow, yeah, that'd be pretty bad if that happened.
But I would agree with James. People, I mean, it is a big story. And there's a lot of tentacles and a lot of tendrils underground. People want to know what the real story is, and they're willing to wait.
And I did want to get back to one other thing on the Syria, Russia, Trump triad, which is an interesting quote from UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, who I thought was an odd choice at first, but actually seems to be doing a decent job from what I've seen. She spoke to the Security Council after the strike took place. And her quote is, in reference to the chemical weapons attack, Assad did this because he thought he could get away with it. He thought he could get away with it because he knew Russia had his back. That changed last night.
Well said.
That seems to be, whether posturing or not, that's aimed directly at Russia.
Yes, it is.
It has almost nothing to do with Assad.
Well, good for Nikki Haley.
But she doesn't say that without the administration's okay.
Correct.
The way things are right now, there are so many factions within one party that, I don't know any other presidential administration. I would agree with you 100%. This one, who knows? I really don't know.
If it was her own line she made up, it was a good one.
Yeah, because nobody in that White House could write that. There is also another supreme issue.
Yes.
Got a new court justice, Bob.
Yes, we do. Although the Supreme Court justice himself is kind of secondary to the whole way this worked out. The Senate went nuclear.
Yeah.
Which is, I gotta say, very disappointing graphically. I was expecting like the scene from Terminator 2 with hot buff Linda Hamilton watching soft feminine Linda Hamilton get totaled by a nuclear weapon, but before she does, they lock eyes and they kiss.
Or at least TV movie level, the day after.
Yes, some kind of. Yeah, I wanted some kind of graphic. But so you can no longer filibuster a Supreme Court justice, which is now a thing. I found out that Supreme Court justices in the past were never filibustered, even unpopular ones. Clarence Thomas only won by 52-48, but he wasn't filibustered. So we're entering not entirely new, because 2013 Democrats changed the rules so that appointees couldn't be filibustered. But we're entering a new area of partisanship, and it's impacting the Supreme Court, which should be above partisanship. So I guess my question to the assembled brain trust were the Democrats smart to filibuster? And were the Republicans smart to go nuclear and take that ability away from the minority party?
No and no.
All right.
The Republicans are almost always smarter than the Democrats politically.
But at the same time, both seemed inevitable.
Okay. And I will play devil's advocate. Yes, Gorsuch. All right. He was always going to be the next Supreme Court justice. But the people who care about this fight are the base.
And Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That
Ginsburg.
poor woman.
Oh, she must want to retire so badly.
Oh,
she's in her 80s.
That's the real victim here. I mean, she was looking at possibly just throwing off the rope for good and going and swinging and having some lemonade.
The first female president, name another liberal female justice.
Yep. And now
she's stuck for another 4 years.
Easy.
But we digress. So anyway, so the base of the Democratic Party wants that fight. They're still pissed about Garland. So, and the people who this looks bad to aren't going to care about this in 2 years. This was remedy to the base and payback for Obama's nominee.
Do the base still care about this in 2 years? There's going to be so much more going on.
The base cares about everything.
It's not going to change the rulings coming out of the court.
No, and in fact, I've heard people say that of the people on the short list, Gorsuch wasn't such a bad choice.
Yeah, and he's, as I believe I've said a couple of times before on this show, really a pretty cookie cutter, not necessarily moderate, but moderate Republican as far as sort of mainstream Republican Supreme Court nominee. He's the guy you get if you buy a picture frame that you're supposed to put your Supreme Court nominee's picture in. He's the guy who's already in the frame.
He's a stock photo.
Yes.
So, Chris, what do you think? Do you think that Democrats were foolish to try to filibuster this nomination?
I don't think they were foolish. I think it was foolhardy. Like James said, this was going to be the result no matter what. I don't know how they could have gotten around it, but it's more disturbing that there's just a new rule for this now.
Yeah.
That never, and like Bob said, this was never a thing before. We're getting into some pretty weird waters.
Yeah, and the nuclear option is bad for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think Mitch McConnell knew it. Unfortunately, the reality is that when they had to have a win.
Yes.
And
that was the other
they were willing to give up the history of the Senate to get it. And Chuck Schumer knew that going in. He had to know this was the outcome. So what happens next time? You're not even part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And
there's no point for Chuck to even go on TV if there's another Trump nominee for the Supreme Court.
No. And that was one of the
It's just going to be whoever they pick.
That was one of the arguments against using the filibuster. Basically, in filling Scalia's seat, you're replacing a conservative with a conservative.
Yes.
But what if something happens to the notorious RBG? You don't want to replace a liberal with a conservative. So that's when they should have used the filibuster.
Yeah.
And then you can argue balance and maybe get some moderate Republicans on your side to sustain to vote against the nomination. So yeah, I can see how they used the nuclear option the filibuster too early.
Yeah.
They should have saved it for a more controversial nominee. But yeah, here we are. So a simple majority can nominate can appoint a Supreme Court justice.
Somewhere down the road, that's going to bite them in the butt.
It has to, because they're not going to have the White House forever.
Or the Senate. I mean, eventually, history shows that these things are going to change. And if Trump turns out to be an utter disaster, and if Congress ever gets a health care bill anywhere near floor for a vote, those jobs are up for grabs. I mean, they're on thin ice as it is with swing voters. So, yeah, it surprises me that they would have used a nuclear option, knowing that this can come back and bite. As tenuous as their hold on things is right now.
It goes back to what Jay said. They needed a win. They needed to put one in the W column. They haven't had one up to this point. But now they've got the attack on Syria and a new Supreme Court justice. This might be the first winning week he's had since he took office.
Fareed Zakaria said he became president on Thursday, which shocked me coming from Fareed Zakaria.
Yeah, I'm not sure you become president by launching missiles.
Yeah.
I think, having seen the remarks and judging the scale and the intent of the strike that was launched, I think in this one small scope, he acted in a relatively presidential manner, in the same way that I would have expected an Obama, George W. Bush, a Clinton to react to something like this. And, under Clinton, these kinds of strikes were pretty typical.
Yeah,
that's
fairly common.
We forget most of them at this point.
Yeah, I don't think that this is going to win him a second term in and of itself. But victories have a way of piling up. Victory begets victory, and all of a sudden, he does start looking presidential. I'm not saying that will happen, but he needed to get the first one.
Right.
And he got it with the Supreme Court nominee. Then he looks good bombing Syria. And who doesn't support the president in a time of war? I mean, you got to be a realist.
Yeah.
But we've been in a time of war for 16 years.
Yeah, but this is a new war.
Yeah, it's shiny.
It is. And it's been on TV. And so...
That makes it official.
America.
And potentially the stakes are a whole lot bigger.
Yeah.
That's terrifying part. That's who we have in charge to guide us through a potentially really tense standoff.
But he's got history with huge stakes.
Wow.
Small hands, huge stakes. So where do we go from here, guys?
So what'd y'all do last week that entertained you?
Worked. Finished up Master of None, which I cannot say enough about. And I don't know if you guys saw the trailer for season 2.
I have not.
No.
Oh, that's right. You haven't dived in yet. There's a season 2 is going to drop in May, so I'm going to be looking forward to that. That was my pop culture week.
How about you, James? What did you do fun last week?
Well, for one, I finally saw a trailer for Guardians 2.
Oh, that's right. You haven't seen it yet.
And actually watched several, and walked away feeling like I had somehow seen the entire film in the trailers, and at the same time had no idea what was going on. I'm not sure if that's a good outcome from a trailer or a bad one, but that was my impression. I'm still going.
Well, Guardians is going deep into the Celestials, and they're going all in on the Universal.
Yeah,
stuff.
I'd like to think I'm somewhat well versed at this point. I'm not nearly as deep into the comics as either of you two. The yellow guys? Who are they?
I don't know who they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
The design is not one I recognize, Bob.
No.
But
then again, Guardians was never my thing.
It wasn't mine, but the Celestials always crossed over with like the Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet. And anything Jim Starlin did, essentially. And I read a lot of Starlin stuff, and they did not look familiar to me.
No.
But
it's okay to go off script. I mean, I'm not so much of a purist that has to follow the comic book. You can do your own thing at this point.
Yeah, they've pretty much proven
Yeah,
that
just
they know what they're doing.
don't mess with canon, you know.
Movie canon.
No. I mean, like, I don't know. You can change around how Uncle Ben dies, but Uncle Ben's got to die.
Okay, I got you.
So, you know, there's certain fixed points in comic books that have to be, just because I don't like change.
Well, no, that's what made them work. That's why people want to make movies about it. That's why people want to go see movies about it. Those things work.
Speaking of Uncle Ben, have you seen the new Spider-Man trailer?
Yeah, the Homecoming trailer.
Yes.
I like the first one better.
Really?
Yeah, this one, it seemed way too typical.
Okay.
And not what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but it just seemed way too typical for a summer blockbuster hero thing.
Too many of those shots in that trailer seemed like they could have come out of the Tobey Maguire movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I did like the suit.
Yeah.
How it wraps around. Yeah. That was cool.
It looks like we're going to be getting a lot of Tony Stark, too.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Is this a buddy cop movie?
And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure how much you want to hang. I know they sort of inevitably connected the characters in the course of Civil War. You've got to have that in there, but you don't want him overshadowing things.
No.
And you already see a scene in that trailer where you've got Iron Man in the suit out there having to help Spidey out.
Right.
And that's not necessarily what I want to see in my Spidey movie.
No, but how else are you going to bring those general audiences that love the Iron Man and Avengers movies in?
You don't think Spidey can sell himself?
I think he could, but I don't know that people would flock to go see it without RDJ.
Okay.
I mean, only the people.
Does he let you call him RDJ?
All the time.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that how he's in your phone?
We DM each other on Twitter. He won't give me his number yet. That's nothing.
You're working up to it.
I'm working up to it.
What base would you say you're at?
I'm somewhere between first and second.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I have to slide or if it's a stand-up double. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But coming this week, I believe it's on late Thursday, early Friday, we're getting brand new Mystery Science Theater 3000s on Netflix. I cannot wait to see what they do and how they've modernized it.
It could so easily go bad.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, I worship the franchise. I don't want to see it tarnished.
And so much of what they do, so much of what they did in the original series is just part of the culture now.
Yeah,
it's on YouTube everywhere. There's people who make a living full time doing that with movies on YouTube. Hundreds of them. I'm not sure how much you have to step up your game. And if it becomes too polished, then I'm no longer interested. It's no longer Mystery Science Theater. But I feel like you would almost have to go beyond, the ad-libbing you can see anywhere now.
But is it any good? Because a lot of the writers that did
there's some people on YouTube who are pretty good at it. There are people who do just funny movie reviews. Obviously, those have been around for a decade now.
Honest Trailers is my favorite.
But there are people who just do riffs, who literally do exactly that on YouTube. My concern is that they're going to go to scripted jokes in order to try and step up that next level and rise above.
I hate to shatter your illusion. Mr. Science Theater was always scripted. That was part of the process from day one. Those gags.
But they were written to appear not to be.
They were performed to appear not to be. That and a lot of those writers are coming back for, I guess, is it a reboot, relaunch?
Yeah.
Just new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of those writers are coming back, so you're interested to see what they do. Yes? Interested is a good word, or are you going to be watching with through your through your hands.
I'm interested to see what they do. I imagine this information's already available, but I haven't checked it out. I'm interested to see what movies they come up with.
Yeah.
Because so much of that sort of B-movie material that they drew on before has already been tapped at this point.
Yeah, I listened to Jonah Ray Rodriguez, who is the new human on the satellite blog.
Uh-huh.
That was me again.
That was James in the Gone. And yeah, he said that took probably the longest, was finding these bad movies that they could license cheaply.
Yeah.
And, but I know where you're getting with that charm that it had when it was first on Comedy Central. And you'd never seen these movies, and they were really old movies
or PSAs.
And they were just so terrible.
Yeah, and
you don't know if they can find something that terrible again.
And that's the other thing, is that those movies, when they were originally doing the show, people really weren't familiar with.
No.
There wasn't DVD. There wasn't IMDb.
How else would you know what Manos Hands of Fate was without Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Yeah, but now everybody knows Manos Hands of Fate. Everybody knows Troll 2. It's, that so bad it's good is just part of the culture again. So, again, I'm interested to see where they go with it. I'm hoping it's successful.
Let me put it this way. I still watch the old Mystery Science Theater 3000s and enjoy them and laugh.
Oh, they're still great.
So, if the writing is still up to par, I don't see why the formula still wouldn't work. But you're right. They're not bringing anything new to the table, I can't imagine. It's just doing something familiar well.
Yeah.
Well, they're bringing Patton Oswalt into the fold.
Really?
Yeah, he's going to play one of the side characters that come in between cuts of the movie. Who's he? They've got like a ton of guest stars who were climbing over each other to get a spot on this because of the love they had for Mystery Science Theater.
That's a little troubling to me too, but we'll see how it turns out.
I can't wait for it. If it's bad, it's bad. But it's something to look forward to. Because beyond that, there's really not a lot going on until May. April's kind of a slog as far as, pop culture, game releases, anything.
The weather's nice.
Hey, I
You
just...
don't go outside.
Listen to this guy. Listen to this guy. I got a PlayStation 4. Why would I leave the house?
You say April is a slog, but I just started playing Persona 5, so...
I saw that. How do you like it?
It's difficult to explain if you've never played a Persona game, which I'm sure neither of you have.
No.
These are games that have no direct plot links between them, so in that way it's sort of like a Final Fantasy. But thematic links between them. They're always about the connection between the public self and the internal subconscious. And certain characters in the course of the games get the ability to manifest that subconscious power externally, which gives them the power to fight evil. That's about all that's...
The look on Recotta's face is classic.
I don't get it.
That's about all that's the same between the series, and the fact that you're almost always, or I think always, a high school student who also has to manage your day, manage your relationships with other characters, because your relationships with other characters actually can determine your combat power. Everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy.
Well, in James is talking to me, who I'm a huge gamer, and Recotta, who is huge into fantasy.
About more of a World of Warcraft kind of gamer.
Right.
Pathfinder.
Magic.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So this should resonate, right? Like what he's saying should get through to us?
I don't get it.
It's Japanese.
Oh, okay. And there's the racism.
No, it's a difference in culture.
It is. And I mean, this is
a big difference.
Heavily anime influenced. I've loved at least the last, 3 games, 3, 4, and 5. And the newest one really has gone out of its way to sort of up the stakes from the very beginning. You play as a character who was wrongfully convicted of assault, who is now basically in foster care because his parents didn't want him anymore, who is put into a school where immediately after walking through the front door, he is told that if you do one thing wrong, you're going to be expelled. We don't want you here.
This is Columbine the game.
And then you get the opportunity to go inside the minds of corrupt adults and either cause them to have a change of heart or cause them, if you screw up somehow, or I guess just want to, cause them to go brain dead. So the first target, which is as far as I've gotten in the game, is the school's volleyball coach, who is actually
this sounds like that.
actually an Olympic volleyball medalist. And horribly abuses his high school volleyball team,
with tentacles.
well, to the point where in the first 3-4 hours there's a rape of a high school student in the faculty PE office, who then immediately goes to the top floor of the high school and throws herself off in an attempt to commit suicide, resulting only in breaking like 26 bones and being in a coma. When you confront the coach about this, he says you'll never be able to prove it because she's not going to wake up. So you're very strongly motivated to go in this guy's head and fuck with him.
And this is why I don't play Japanese video games.
This game is fun for you?
Like I said, in the context of playing a game like that, and if you're the kind of person who enjoys those kinds of games, can suspend your disbelief and can sort of grasp onto the kind of drama that they're selling. When you have sat through 5 or 6 hours of the game and you get to that point and this guy basically says, yes, I know I raped that girl and that's why she tried to kill herself and there's nothing you can do about it, you damn well want to go into the fantasy world and try and screw with this guy. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's just, they do a really good job of raising the sort of personal stakes where you as a player find yourself wanting to do what the characters have to do anyway to advance the plot. I always like that in the game.
I got to be a robotic T-Rex that shot lasers in Horizon Zero Dawn.
I'm playing solitaire on my phone.
But did that invoke any sort of intrinsic motivation of anything that you want to do? Or was it the extrinsic motivation of accomplishing something in the video game?
No, because I can mine it for parts, and because they're rare in the world, there are some really rare parts that I can exchange for some badass gear. So yes, I had internal motivation to want to beat that Thunderjaw.
I didn't know how Thunderjaw was.
That may have been the best way that conversation could have ended.
It may have been the only way. We were in some kind of geek loop that had been broken with sex.
Yeah.
Because sex trumps geek.
You know, and unless Chris had said something about Luke Cage, there was really nowhere else this could go.
I'm done with that show.
Wow.
James made me pay for not liking it.
Do you know why you didn't like that show?
Oh, here we go.
It was the soft bigotry of low expectations.
I had high expectations for that show.
Could that be on your tagline?
All right, so that's what. That sounds like a wrap.
God, I hope so.
Yeah. So everyone knows what we're doing next week. Fun and just following all these. So next week we're going to do it again. We'll try to stay on topic. As you saw this week or heard, doesn't always work.